I'm Dave Flynn, Chair of the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. On this episode of Connect with Your Commissioner, I would like to welcome Macomb County's newly appointed Treasurer, Derek Miller. I'll be hosting a short Q&A with Derek today to learn a little bit about what he has in store. Before we get into that conversation, I would like to give a little refresher on how closely the Treasurer and the Board work together. Derek, as Treasurer, you're the custodian of the county funds, and as the Board of Commissioners, we're the appropriating body for those funds. Being mindful of taxpayer dollars is a necessity for both of us, and agreeing how to spend those valued dollars when it comes to expenditures like pensions, like retiree health care, and that's why our office intersect and they sit on several of those investment boards together. I look forward to working with you in those roles, and I'd like to ask you a few questions in regards to your short-term goals and your long-term goals for the Treasurer's Office.
Well, thanks so much, Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to come here to this great studio and have a conversation with you about these critical issues. And being new to the Treasurer's Office, I certainly do have immediate goals. Coming in day one, I put a 60-day aggressive plan together so that we could move this county forward. In doing so, I have to understand how my office and staff work and operate and what functions are critical in the short term and the long term for stability for Macomb County residents. Long-term goals really look at the key functions of what the Treasurer's Office does. One being the Chief Investment Officer for the county. And when it comes to taxpayer dollars and being the custodian of taxpayer dollars in Macomb County, we have to have safety first. We have to preserve the principle of the tax dollar. Two, look at the liquidity, whether we have cash on hand. And in doing that, you have to make sure your payroll, your vendors, and your projects throughout the county are paid, and we have money for reserve funds for emergencies that we can't necessarily foresee with the economy, man-made situations such as what's going on in Genesee County right now, as well as natural disasters, what we saw in August of 2014 in the city of Warren and other areas of Macomb County and in Oakland County with flash flooding that occurred. After you take a look at that and you preserve the principle, you have cash on hand, you look at Public Act 20, which gives the authority to the Treasurer's Office to invest surplus funds, and you look at, you have to be prudent, we have to do our due diligence, and we have to look at low-risk investments that bring consistent yields to the county so that we can have long-term financial stability for Macomb County residents. After that, you look at the second function of the Treasurer's Office, which is the foreclosing government unit under the authority of Public Act 123. It deals with delinquency, forfeitures of properties. And you have to really preserve the constitutional rights of our citizens to make sure that we're not being overly aggressive when it comes to foreclosing on people's houses. We want to make sure people are in their homes, that they're productive members of society, that we get them payment plans, and we teach them financial literacy so that they can get out in front of these problems, so that they can start paying their taxes, they understand the financial difficulty that they're in, and so that they can really start contributing to the local economies and stay in their houses and invest in our neighborhoods. And that's my long-term goal as County Treasurer.
And I'm glad to hear you say that, because there's a very human side to the Treasurer's Office. And when we don't absolutely have to foreclose on a property in this county, we don't want to.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't help the individual or their family. It doesn't help their neighbors and their home values. It doesn't help the lender or the bank or even the county itself. And so I'm glad to hear you say that. In regards to the previous treasurer who passed away in December, Ted Walby, I had a great respect for him, a close working relationship with him. I know that you thought very highly of him.
Sure.
And I'd like to know how you're going to continue that role of immersing yourself in the community and using the Treasurer's Office to do good for those who need it in the county.
Right. And Dave, you bring up such a good point. Mr. Wabi had such a wonderful legacy of superb public service, and he did so much great philanthropy work for the community. And my wife and I take philanthropy work and the public service that I do as an elected official very seriously. I think we credit that to our parents for giving us and instilling in us those morals and values. But it's something I take seriously, and we are active members of St. Martin de Porres in the city of Warren, where we plan on baptizing our new daughter in April there. We're very active in the warming shelter there as well that's held on an annual basis. I belong to Macomb County's Habitat for Humanity, where I sit on the board. And what we do there is we try to bring the American dream home to folks that are struggling financially but are on their way up and are looking for homes so that they're not renters, but they're actually find the pride to have a mortgage as homeowners. And that's really great for not only them personally, it gives the pride in their lives, but also to the communities that they live in. I also, as a former prosecuting attorney, I'm very active in law enforcement, and I'm a member of the local Warren FOP Wooters Lodge 124, where we do a lot of charity work there, but also you're really looking out for the Fraternal Order of Police in Warren and the families of the men and women in blue that serve in that community and help to keep the citizens of that local city safe. And police today more than ever have such a tough job, and I really take a lot of pride in being part of that FOP Lodge, as well as trying to help high school students throughout the communities of Macomb County understand the government functions of public life and understanding how politics works. So, it's not like you and I, we've been involved in this a long time, but it's not also oftentimes known and understood through the youth of our communities. So I take a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely. Derek and I, for those of you that don't know, kind of grew up in the political scene, and we were always taught that if you had the ability to do good for others, that you had that responsibility to do it.
Absolutely.
And for the viewers who don't know out there, Derek not only got a new job in the past couple months, he also was fortunate to have a new baby that is healthy in December. And so he's probably not getting a lot of sleep these nights. But do want to ask you one last question here today.
Yes.
Obviously, you served in the prosecutor's office that you talked about, but you also were in the state legislature as a policymaker. How will you use that role, that experience in the office of the treasurer on a regional basis throughout Southeast Michigan?
My time at the prosecutor's office and as a state legislature have been some of the best learning experiences of my life. And one thing I took very seriously in both those capacities was building relationships. I had the privilege in the state legislature to try to build relationships with local leaders of those communities from all the way south as Monroe to north at a tip of the Upper Peninsula in Calumet. And when you're building those relationships, you're also trying to work to bring tax dollars back to your local communities, and especially now in Macomb County. And one of the things we did in the legislature, I voted for the school aid portion of the budget last year. We wish we could have brought more tax dollars back to Macomb. For schools, you can always use more money. However, it was a $54 billion budget, and in that school aid budget portion, we brought over $1 billion back to Macomb County schools. And not one school district in Macomb County received less money than the previous year, and most school districts actually received more money. And why does that matter? Most people don't make the connection and how that affects the treasurer's office, but when you look at bringing that type of dollars to school districts in Macomb County, you're also looking at families that are looking for areas to raise a family in, to send their children in, and they want good school districts. Those dollars assist in that manner, and when you have good school districts, you have productive neighborhoods, people living in homes, being productive members of society, and having higher property values. And when you have higher property values in good local communities, you have a higher tax base for the treasurer's office, and with that we can provide more resources to the communities. And that's what we're doing, and we're going to try to use those connections we've made in Lansing to reach out, cut through the red tape in a beneficial way for Macomb County residents.
Terrific. And education so vitally important, not just to the students, but also to the community that it upholds, to the housing values, and to our economic development and our future. And so I think that concludes our program here today. I want to thank you for being here with us. I want to wish you all the best of luck, not just as treasurer, but
as a new father.
As a new father, I can't imagine.
Thank you.
But with that said, I want to thank the viewers for seeing Connect with Your Commissioner. And don't forget to visit our Facebook page by searching Macomb County Board of Commissioners to regular updates before our next episode airs. With that, I want to thank you and wish you the best.